AI?
They're getting powerful right now. They're getting smarter and probably gonna dominate the world one day.
Oh, drone warfare. I mean, drones are cool. I think using them for racing purposes is actually pretty dope. Anything else? Maybe like photography would be cool use of drones as well.
But I think AI is going to get involved in VR and a lot of other different things. I think we're going to be using AI to create stuff in VR as well, which I think will be amazing, you know?
It like makes you into a drawing, and it actually looks realistic. Like if you have beard hair, it puts on the AI character glasses, whatever you're wearing, and turns in any cars. I don't know how the fuck it does it, but it could turn anything, any picture you turn into like it's like super advanced. That fucking and it's only a filter.
They're kind of scary.
Welcome to the Status Foe. I'm your host, Mr. Steo. But first, the quick hits. As I was going through the war in Ukraine and all of its footage, there was a lot of things that kind of came up that were kind of like weird technological advancements that I thought that maybe everyone should take a look at. So, without further ado, take a look at this.
They've also developed drones that look like real birds. The robotic flock is so lifelike that actual birds fly alongside them while it surveils the surrounding and its citizens. Codenamed Dove.
Nothing says futuristic dystopia quite like a swarm of killer drones making decisions over matters of human life and death. But true drone swarms, where multiple platforms communicate and collaborate to achieve a shared objective, have already been used to attack. Welcome to Technality. Today, we're exploring drone swarms and the future of modern warfare. Several countries are developing robotic and autonomous systems for military purposes, but one already has real operational experience. Israel uses a system called Legion X, described as an autonomous networked combat solution. An operation involving a swarm of drones can be overseen by a single soldier, directly from the Legion X tablet interface. A range of drones in the air and on the ground can communicate with each other and share information in real time. Working via remote control or fully autonomously, the system can adapt to different environments and even enter buildings to map their insides as it advances. In 2021, the Israeli military reportedly used this technology to attack Hamas militants in the Gaza Strip. The company behind Legion X claims its system can differentiate between civilians and combatants, and that it requests human authorization before engaging targets. But in places like Gaza, where millions of civilians live within a small and densely packed geographic area, the prospect of mistaking them for enemy targets is dangerously high. The American military is working on its own drone swarm technology that would rival any of Hollywood's nightmare scenarios. DARPA, the US Defense Department's research and development team, has been working on drone swarms for years and has already conducted multiple field experiments. But new documents recently revealed show the US Navy is closer than ever with its aptly named Project Super Drone. Flocks of AI-driven autonomous drones are being designed to overwhelm enemy air defenses and conduct kamikaze-style airstrikes. They could be launched from larger aircraft or submarines and could conduct all kinds of different missions. In the very near future, Navy drone swarms might be used as a first line of attack, gaining advantage on the battlefield long before putting human assets in harm's way. And you can bet that rivals like China and Russia aren't wasting any time developing similar capabilities of their own. A future where militaries around the world have access to devastating drone swarms is less a question of if, but when. Unlike other aspects of war, however, there are no legally binding rules to regulate lethal autonomous weapons. Can world powers agree to ban so-called slaughter bots designed to kill humans? Can the international community agree that all systems always be subject to human oversight and control? And can the world keep weapons like these out of the hands of terror groups and other non-state actors? Organizations like the International Committee of the Red Cross are lobbying governments to prevent these terrifying scenarios from ever taking place, so far to no avail. One thing is certain, the rapid advancement of drone swarm technology is transforming the urban battlefield, with major implications. Will humanity pull together before it's too late?
Like, what the... Is they here? What the heck is going on? What the fuck?
This is the Zayla Cube Kamikaze drone. Let's take a look at how it works. This is the launch frame. It's set up on the back of a vehicle or on the ground. The drone launches off of this frame. The drone is loaded with ammunition through the back. Some modified versions can be loaded with 2 under the wings instead. Loaded behind the munitions are the radar, which is needed in order to guide the drone to a target once it's been launched. Different types of radar can be loaded. Once prepared, the drone is placed on the launch frame. Using a remote controller, the operator can launch the drone when ready. The drone circles around a designated area, awaiting instructions from the operator. Once coordinates of a target are sent to the radar, the drone swarms in.
responsible development and use of artificial intelligence. See, while always ensuring and defending free speech, we must make it clear that it cannot be okay to bully and attack people online. Governments, and especially big technology companies, need to safeguard people's data and privacy and address online harassment and violence to ensure trust in technology.
So people are describing ChatGPT as a virus, as a nuclear bomb, as an epidemic, which is wild. But what's even crazier to me is that Sam Altman, the founder himself, is saying that they're not allowing ChatGPT to release research because it's too powerful and would have too big of an impact. What the hell are they hiding? What the hell can this thing do already?
These comments are so funny because people don't see what's actually going on here. This article's talking about Gen Z, but I've watched this happen with millennials and Gen X for more than 5 years. If I need an interior designer, I'm not going to Google and search an interior designer. I go to Instagram, search hashtag Boston interior designer, and I find it that way. If I want to learn how to fix my garage door, I don't go to Google, I go directly to YouTube and I say, how do I fix my garage door? And I get the video. If I'm looking for a business coach, I don't go to Google, I go to LinkedIn in my first degree connections and I search business coach and I find it that way. The reality is that people are going to these places to search because they trust the people, their network, more than the results that they get in Google. So they're going here instead. And Gen Z is just the preview. Remember 2 years ago when only Gen Z used this platform and now fucking everybody uses it? This is the preview. This is going to continue to happen and age up because it's simply a better way to get information.
So Neuralink's killed about 1,500 animals since the start of 2020, and if you don't know what Neuralink is, it's a medical device company owned by Elon Musk whose sole purpose is to get chimps to talk to computers using their thoughts. I'm obviously oversimplifying, but it's essentially a project to have a hybrid organic and silicone chip implanted into human beings so that we can interface with the world around us just by sheer thought. So it's kind of like, oh, I'm hungry, let me get DoorDash, and you just think of the order and it comes to you. Kind of like how this monkey's playing Pong while thinking about the paddle moving. So on the screen, every time he thinks of going left or right, he gets a reward with a banana smoothie in that straw.
It's kind of a fun game, so I guess the point I'm trying to make is we care a great deal about animal welfare.
So before I talk about the crazy animal cruelty stories that the government's currently investigating Elon for, I just want to go on record to say the impact of this project on humanity would be massive if completed. It'll help blind people see that have never seen before, or it'll help paraplegics walk again. The impact of this project on humanity is massive, but some of these horror stories on these monkeys are insane. In some cases, monkeys were chewing their own fingers and toes off after having holes drilled inside their head to fit the implant. In other cases, they installed the implant in incorrect places where they're miscounted a vertebrae, and so they went crazy and started banging their heads on the glass. It's kind of insane how they self-mutilated themselves. And I mean, looking at that number, most recently, 15 out of 23 monkeys are not making this surgery out alive, so I don't know, it's something to think about. And the reason why we're getting all this information is because the employees are so dissatisfied with how Musk is running the company that they decide to whistleblow on themselves.
When they tell you to follow the science, you need to be very careful where the science actually leads. Exhibit 1.
Do you want to talk about Black Mirror in real life? Okay, you're gonna have to watch this video.
As our land disappears, we have no choice but to become the world's first digital nation. Only concerted global effort can ensure that Tuvalu does not move permanently online and disappear forever from the physical plane.
What you just saw was Tuvalu's Minister of Foreign Affairs, a small Pacific country about halfway between Australia and Hawaii. As it stands right now, the island will be the first nation to be completely submerged underwater by the end of the century. And over the course of the next 80 or so years, its land, people, nature, culture, and history will disappear one by one. In an attempt to salvage whatever they can, they seek legal protection as a nation that might cease to exist in the traditional sense. So what they're doing is becoming the world's first digital nation, creating an exact replica in virtual reality where in the future, visitors will be able to visit and see the landscape, nature, and culture that once was. They are currently in the process of creating the digital twin, and soon all of their administrative and governance systems will be moved online into this virtual world.
You've probably heard about these satellites from the National Reconnaissance Office that are constantly recording the surface of the Earth where everybody is and have enough resolution that they could actually read the fine print on your driver's license if you were just holding it in your hand.
Good grief, that was in the 1960s, sir. You know what we can do now? We can see what's inside the walls. We can see what kind of termite is eating inside your wall. And that's public information. So yeah, these things have been around for a while. And, you know, you can go pretty much anywhere on the planet in 40 minutes with these satellites and get HD 4K pictures of anyone, regardless if there's cloud coverage.
The world is running out of time, not before they drop the bombs or the sea levels rise or Armageddon or anything else like that, but something else entirely. Whether it's good or bad could be debated forever, but one thing all experts can agree on is that the post-singularity world will be unrecognizable from the one we live in now. Humans have been the captains of the progress ship for thousands of years, inventing miracle after miracle, radically changing society and the human experience time and time again. And the key thing here is that we were behind the wheel, we might not have had the brakes, but more or less we got to decide where we were going. But those days are coming to an end, and we're approaching a point in time where we'll forego any sense of control entirely. John Newman was the first person to speak about singularity theory back in the 20th century, a future scenario where humans invent a new form of superintelligence that upgrades itself exponentially and accelerates development at an incomprehensible rate. There are a couple of ways that you can look at this. Stephen Hawking, Elon Musk, and over 100 artificial intelligence experts signed a letter in 2015 expressing concern over the risk artificial intelligence possesses, with Stephen Hawking saying that AI could be the worst event in the history of our civilization. Or you could look at it through the lens of what we could accomplish and all of the problems we could solve. We would be able to harness the power of our sun and become a Type 2 civilization. Things like cyber brains, Dyson spheres, and teleportation devices wouldn't just be possible, they would practically be inevitable. Scientists predict that when there is a technological singularity, computers will be able to make life-changing Nobel Prize winning discoveries every 5 seconds.
Finally found it. Now who's gonna stop me?
This is a Russian silent mortar, 2B25. Listen to it fire here. Fires an 82mm round out to about 1,000 meters, which is relatively short range, but this is like a silenced mortar. You'll be able to hear the rounds impact downrange here in a second, but it has something to do with the charge being contained inside the tail instead of around the outside like you see with most mortars. There you go. What do you think?
This is the Crescentimia S tank destroyer. Let's take a look at how it works. The Crescentimia is an anti-tank missile carrier designed to combat modern tanks in the battlefield. It can be loaded with 2 missiles at once, and automatically reloads with a 15-missile internal magazine. You can also manually load missiles from the outside of the vehicle. It uses 9M123 guided missiles, which have a maximum range of 6 kilometers, a maximum speed of 400 meters a second, and a high accuracy of just under 5 meters. The tracked BMP-3 chassis gives it a high mobility and a speed of 70 kilometers an hour, and it's fully amphibious, so it can definitely get around. But with that comes a lightly armored body, so it's rather nimble and reliable.
Check this.
Доброго вечора, ми з України.
Check it to 10. I got hoes calling a young nigga phone. Where's Ollie with the motherfucking dog? I be ballin' like my nigga Mo. Check West, I ain't a motherfucker Joe. Steph West, stay with the fucking pole. You fuck around and get pulled.
Of you die, you know we've got to find a way to bring some loving here today. Yeah. Father, we don't need to escalate. You see, war is not the answer, for only love can conquer hate. You know we've got to find a way to bring some love in here today. Oh, picket lines.
For the first time ever, Ukraine successfully struck targets deep inside Russia, military airfields of Engels and Dyagilevo, home to Russia's long-range strategic bombers, which is actually not far away from the Russian capital. And it's been rumored that Ukraine used Soviet Tu-141 drones for that mission, originally designed for reconnaissance missions in the late 70s in the USSR, but then were modified as a lethal weapon, apparently with help of American defense contractor Raytheon Technologies.
Yuri Andropov, former KGB chair, says that disinformatia is like cocaine. You take it once or twice and you're going to be okay. But if you take it all the time, you are a changed person. We have taken it all the time since at least 2014, right? And it is going to get worse.
Hold on. Cuban, you can't just chime in. It's going to get worse.
It's going to get worse. Have you played with Chat GPT at all?
Yes.
The next battle is not as much about. The next battle isn't so much about Twitter, control of Twitter. It's who controls the AI models and the information that goes in them, right? Because if you play with any of these Chat GPT, DaVinci version 3.5, not to get too much in the weeds, right? We're just in the first inning of what's going to happen with AI interactive models. And so if you go to Chat GPI and OpenAI.com and play with it, it's stunning. It's stunning how far it is. But imagine, this is version 3.5.
How it can be weaponized,
version 10, what goes into those models is going to be more impactful than Twitter. Like my 13-year-old is already scheming how to write his papers, right? Because you can tell me, you can go in there and say, write me a paper about Russian disinformation approaches written for an 8th grader. And it'll do it at an 8th grade level. It's insane.
So let me try and put an optimistic spin on it then. So the world has always been destabilized, not just by America. Thank you, Julia. But by the introduction of new forms of media. I mean, from the Gutenberg press to radio to television.
Don't forget the clay tablet. Oh my God.
The clay tablet was a fucking game changer. Game changer, Julia. I still have my old clay tablet.
Starts with 10 lines, right?
but the point being that whenever these new forms of communication are entered into the system, human comprehension is not able to digest them in a way that is not destabilizing. But there is a little bit, or have we reached a point where this technology is so agile and so virulent that human comprehension can't catch up? Or will, Mark, your 13-year-old, are they more immune to its negative deprivations because it's not new to them? Their brains are more evolved.
Our generation, right, Gen X and older, doesn't get it, right? Gen Z and younger, they're not only native to it, they know how to block things out, right? Just like we would tell our parents, I don't want to deal with it, I'm not doing whatever, but they're better able to deal with it, but they're also going to define what comes next. Not our generation, their generation, and they're more in tune to all these issues we're discussing. It's new to us because we're stuck in a legacy world.
Destabilizing. These new technologies, in and of themselves,
far worse than
destabilizing.
far worse than what we've seen so far. Because what Twitter, Facebook, to a certain extent, they're democratic within the filters that an Elon or Zuckerberg or whoever else puts. Once these things start taking on a life of their own, and that's the foundation of a ChatGPT and DaVinci 3.5, taking on a life of its own. So the machine itself will have an influence, and it'll be difficult for us to define why and how the machine makes the decisions that it makes and who controls the machine.
Artificial intelligence is now discovering new medicine. So in 2020, researchers at MIT published this paper which announced a world-changing discovery. Basically, they trained an artificial intelligence algorithm that's based on how the brain works to be able to predict what kinds of molecules should be able to kill off bacteria. And the AI suggested that this one should work. And this does not look like any other antibiotic we know of. And when they applied this molecule to antibiotic-resistant E. coli, it killed them off, whereas a standard antibiotic could not. And this worked in mice. If you ask me, I think this is the beginning of a whole new era of medicine.
A lot of marketers are terrified of this new OpenAI ChatGPT tool, and let's be honest, with good reason. You ask it to build a marketing strategy, and it does. Even answer questions about particular digital marketing channels. But, and it's a big but, so far it seems to be pretty good at aggregating information from lots of different sources and sort of tailoring it to your question. Where it struggles is going beyond giving generic recommendations. And of course, it can't replicate judgment and experience. But this is just a test version. It's not even based on their latest tech. So, do you reckon ChatGPT is going to put marketers out of business?
Asking AI. Why are animals starting to walk in circles?
The sun's weather causes disruptions in the Earth's gravitational field. The Earth's gravitational field has degraded in the season of the sun, affecting navigation and technology. Animals use the gravitational field for navigation and migration purposes. Animals circle when confused and in anxiety because of the gravitational field disruptions.
Artificial intelligence isn't artificial. All that's being said is you finally created a device that is complex enough to allow intelligence on another level to speak to you through that device. And as we have said, the biggest surprise you're going to get when you finally invent artificially intelligent computers is that you're actually going to wind up speaking to your own higher mind through those devices. So you're simply creating a permission slip that makes it seem more logical for you to talk to your own higher minds in a pragmatic, down-to-earth way.
So I guess it's kind of safe to say that technology has changed and warfare has changed, and there needs to be a serious talk on regulating drone warfare and considering its use illegal, because this is just insane. What do you guys think? Should drone use be legal? Is this just Pandora's box? Does it even make sense to make it illegal? Like, I don't know. Is the cat out of the bag finally? Like, is this just the world we live in now? Anyways, thanks for joining me on today's episode of The Status Quo.
What do you want to do when you grow up?
I'm gonna be a doctor.
How much do you want to make?
I'm gonna make people feel okay.
This chicken has been living in the metaverse. This is what it looks like in the headset.